Hi, and welcome to the show. This is Recovery Wednesday, September the 7th, 2016. Our call-in number is 516-418-5786. Press 1, and that puts you in queue to talk to us. And we would love to hear your comments and your questions because that makes this your show. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart. And your voice on that new introduction, I love the way you do that introduction. Just the energy of your voice, the way you say it, just warms my heart. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I'm not sure if it's just my phone, but there's kind of a clicking metallic sound coming from your end.
Must be something in the phone because there's no sound like that here. I'm in exactly the same places where I usually do the show from. So I don't know. But
all right, there it cleared up. Well,
I'm going to hang up and dial in again.
Okay, see if that might be it.
It might be me.
Okay, let's try it. All right, well, in any event, we're delighted and honored that you're here to share this space with us. And once again...
No, it wasn't Dr. Tim. So no. I don't know what's doing it, but it's...
Okay. Nothing I can do about it.
I just got a text from Julie Bowman, and she said she's hearing it as well.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and talk for a second, too, and I'll call in again and see if that clears it up.
All right, we'll do that. So... it is Recovery Wednesday, but while we're waiting on Michael to get back in, I'll just say you can go to our website, which is www.whyagain.org. And we have all of our worksheets. There are MP3s, audios, videos. There's just lots of information out there to help you with this process. And it's around the Aramaic forgiveness, which is not about letting another person off the hook because they triggered something within you, but it is about going inside and removing your anger, fear, hostility, grief, guilt, pain, anything that is less than your being, which is love. And so I just got a text and said that the noise has quit, so welcome back, Michael. And
okay,
we'll continue from here.
See if that did it. Let's hold the space that it's taken care of. Who knows? Technology. It's so awesome when it works.
It is clear.
Good. Okay. Cool. So once again, we just welcome everybody. We're honored that you're here once again to share this space and continue with the awesome process of learning to shift the mind. And we're just in the, I think it's day 8 of Laws of Living. And the happenings in the class, we're looking at the opening words in the Beatitudes of that the Greeks tell us are blessed are they, but in Aramaic the word is tuvehun, which speaks of a latent neural structure that, when it's brought forward, is designed to underlie the activity of the mind. And it's based in love. And so we've just been having that conversation, and there's a person in the class who's been doing the work, not a la this particular aspect of it, but actually did the earlier form of our Laws of Living class, which was EMI, Emotional Maturity Instructions, was designed by Dan McDougald. And we had just reached a point where we're talking about this activity of neural structures and perception and how the mind generates the world that it sees and all of that. And the exclamation was, well, but I just want to understand, I just want to get this. It's like, well, once we realize that it's possible that we could actually truly live as the active presence of love 24/7, 365, of course, everybody says, all right, I'm in. I want to live there. But then comes the work. Yeshua speaks 2,000 years ago about you've got to have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, that you've got to consciously, consistently, persistently do your work to build those brain cells. And someone in the class made the comment that, Michael, it's so simple. You're standing up there, you illustrate on the board, and it's like so simple, But then when I go to write it down, it's just such a mess. Can that happen? Well, that's what happens when our minds are a mess and we haven't done the underlying work of forgiveness. So if all of the lofty ideas that we're talking about as possibilities are to come to fruition, then what one has to do in order for it to come to fruition in them is the work of cleaning out what goes against it. You know, if it were just about learning something new, it'd be, oh, this will be easy. But it's literally undoing generations of minds based in something other than love. And so the willingness to consciously, consistently, persistently do one's work, and I was using Julie Haverstick as an example. You know, there were times years ago when Julie would call me as a kindergarten teacher and tell me that she'd taken a well day off of work, and she was on her 35th worksheet working with the things that had come up from school the day before. And Julie has been doing 5 worksheets a day for 25 years. If you listen to her, she's pretty clear in her conversation about it. And everybody who hears it the first time wants to be that clear in their conversation about it, but you just can't do that. It takes the moving forward and doing one's work. And actually, Patrick pointed out, Patrick's part of the Laws of Living class, and he pointed out that Julie not only does her 5 worksheets a day, but she does 5 worksheets a day with someone else every day in support of them. So if you really, truly feel that it's valuable to live and function as the presence of love, then all you have to do is face everything in you that's unlike love. And in essence, that's the question they asked Yeshua a couple of thousand years ago was, well, how do we live like you? How do we do that? And he said, well, here's what you do. You do your work, you clean up the mess in your mind, and you come forward living as love. And that's the point where literally half of his audience said, that's too hard a saying for me. And they left and never came back. It means that I am going to face every disease that I carry. And the diseases that I carry, the primary, the important ones to heal, first and foremost, because they're the things that reflect as so-called physical diseases, are my sadness and my rage and my fear and my guilt and my grief and my hatred and my vengeance. So that my instrument, if you think of this body-mind unit as an instrument for the being, let's imagine that the New York Philharmonic is doing a Brahms symphony and broadcasting it. And they have $500,000 worth of sound equipment putting out this awesome, super high fidelity Dolby sound signal. And here I am sitting in Theodosia, Missouri, and I turn on my transistor radio. My transistor radio cost me $10. Now, I'm listening to a Brahms symphony played by the New York Philharmonic. But if my neighbor across the street has a $100,000 stereo system and he turns it on, was I really listening to the New York Philharmonic? Was my instrument capable of actually giving me the experience of the sound of each of the piccolos when they came in, the strings fading in and out, the background voices, the soprano, the tenor? Was I really hearing that through my $10 transistor radio? Not in a million years. If my instrument has generationally been designed for hostility and fear, how can I tell if it's been designed for hostility or fear? I spend a lot of time in some form of hostility or fear. Something happens in the world to frustrate my infantile goals, and I go into some form of hostility or fear, and I may point it at my children, I may point it at an infant, I may point it at my parent, my spouse, my neighbor, but I'm experiencing that because my instrument is filled with that. You don't just one day hear, oh, I could be functioning as love 24/7, 365 and now I'm going to do that. It's a process, and you have to do your work. And it is an ongoing process to do that. So we're here to create support for that process. And having spent years, Dr. Tim, thank you, Jeanie, Julie, people who've spent years in doing the process work are here to open a conversation to help each person who chooses to be engaged in developing the brain cells for, here's how I function as the presence of love. Well, but my rage just came up. Okay, so I'll apply forgiveness to my rage and remove my rage. You mean I should forgive that guy over there who did that to me? So I didn't say that. In fact, I would say exactly the opposite. Never, ever forgive anybody for anything. You've been taught a lie about forgiveness. Forgiveness has nothing whatsoever to do with letting somebody else off the hook for what's happening inside of you. Forgiveness is what you do when you love truth enough to be able to own your hostility or fear and stop talking to other people like they're the problem in your life and start to actually own and work through those parts of your mind. And it's a long-term process. I'll offer that in my experience, it takes 5 to 10 years for somebody to really even start to scratch the surface of that process. If they've lived in the world of hostility, fear, rage, abuse, pain, drama, and trauma, escape, leaving, all of those issues. It takes 5 to 10 years to make that kind of a leap. And many people say, well, that's too long for me. It's like, well, if you're not able to function as love today and you don't spend the next 5 years practicing it, how good do you suppose you'll be at functioning in love at 5 years from now? Well, you'll probably have the skill level you have today. So you might as well start today and do your work. And then 5 years from now, you'll advance your ability to do that. And there's a lady in the class who kind of had that insight. It's like, oh, I see. I went, and Jeanie was someone who came to your first women's intensive in Florida back 3 years ago. And she was lamenting because she came to the intensive, got some good insight, got some good work done, went home, and promptly put it away. And she was just kind of lamenting that. It's like, oh, if I'd have continued to do my work after I did that first intensive with Women Healing Women with Jeanie, then I'd have been 3 years further along in my work today. And this situation that I'm now contemplating probably would have been a whole different situation for me. And, that's it. And I think, I don't know what I think. I thank the stars. I thank Ruka for the guidance or for the push. Because, in essence, the reason I'm doing this work, the thing that started it, there's a place where I got in touch with that's what I'm here to do. But what really made it happen, what really pushed it was circumstance that supported me. And now I couldn't imagine if I hadn't spent the last half century doing this work, where life would be. I just can't imagine. So I'm grateful, and I join with each of you in gratitude for your participation and your being here to share with us. And let's check in with Dr. Tim and see if he has anything to share with us. Dr. Tim? And I did get your call, or I did see that you called me this morning, but
well, I just want to echo the gratitude you were talking about. We had our group last night, and I'm aware that this is Recovery Wednesday, recovering the truth of our nature as love. And Tuesday night we had our support group, and we did something we have never done in that group before. We showed one of the darshans from Yayam from the Way of Mastery, and so it was a full hour of him parsing out word for word, phrase for phrase, what can be unpacked from the Way of Mastery about our complete responsibility for how we're creating with our thought, and the parallels were many and varied, and just it was delightful. And then, of course, we had 8 people there that were thoroughly engaged and questioning, and I just counted a privilege to have access to that group of people. And we have people who are actually working diligently to recover their awareness of their true nature as the energy of love, and then practice extending that in every interaction. And so that's what I have to offer. It's just a blessing to have access to these tools and all the different ways to talk about the same process and the same tools, and then the support group concept is just, it enriches my life. So I highly recommend it for anybody that is the least bit inclined to start their own group or find one near you that you can go attend.
Absolutely. Nothing like a little support from our friends. We've had several layers of things coming up in the intensive, and just, one person has had something pop, and 5 other people in the group realize, oh my God, that's my issue too. And so as one person processes, everybody gets the gift. And so it's just so powerful to get together like that. Fabulous. Well, any patterns showing up to share with us today from practice, or?
Well, I think the patterns so far in the practice this week, just yesterday and this morning, are about willingness. The key phrase is, am I willing to question everything I think I believe? And somebody in the group last night said, when in the middle of what I was saying, they said, this is just like Michael's A New Beginning, that process, A New Beginning. If I can tap into the fact that I'm uncomfortable, I'm in a negative emotional state, well, then at least I can acknowledge I don't like how I feel. So maybe there's a different way to look at this. I hope there's a different way to look at the situation. Well, I have to be willing to question everything that I'm holding on to, that I've identified with, that I think I know. And that's, that's such a fundamental piece that if I won't question it, I have been given the capacity to choose what I'm going to focus on. And even the Creator won't undo that free will and choice. So I can choose to push it away and identify with what I've always believed and fight for my right to be angry, etc. And in order to move forward, I have to be willing, and I have to be willing to let go of everything I thought I was and everything I thought I believed in. So that would be the pattern that's come up over and over this past 2 days.
Cool. Well, yeah, that definitely, that cosmic grease is such an important ingredient, isn't it? It's and the choice to honor truth rather than keep telling ourselves the lies that somebody else is the problem. And if I can just, put up a deep enough wall against them, push them away hard enough, make them know that they're the reason I'm feeling this way and it's all their fault, giving that up is monumental, a monumental piece of work. And that's what we're here to support. So, cool. Let's check with Jeanie. Jeanie, is there anything you have to share with us? Any new developments on the Women Healing Women Intensive, which is just about a week and a half or so away now?
Starts next Thursday, a week tomorrow. No, we still have 2 spaces available for residential and 5 spaces for commuters. Michelle and I are supposed to get together as soon as the show's over and discuss what we need, whether Ari needs to send stuff or not. And so we're going to talk about that. We do still have those openings. I'm real close to setting up an April Women's Intensive in Hampton, Tennessee, at a place called Doe River Gorge. So I've been working on that this morning and talking with the people that run the facility. So, but it is Recovery Wednesday, and we do have Gail on, and we have a couple of hands up as well.
Well, let's say hello to Gail and see what the young lady has to say. She's just been rocking along in this intensive.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Just based on
you look like you've been
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you just look like you've been sliding through some underlying stuff that you've just been in process with, and it looks good.
I've been canceling the goal, and also to be able to see better, to heal what is blocking my eyesight. And then I set that intention during the breath session, and where I went was a lot of generational stuff, and so I was amazed to see that. But also extremely grateful. I have a lot of gratitude for this process as well. And I will just touch base on some of the things that have been brought up, and then be complete and allow for the time to take hands, because I have access to you all day. So the part about doing our work, that is actually in the 12 steps. And 2 steps in particular is the 10th step, which is worded as we continue to take personal inventory, and when we're wrong, promptly admitted it. So it's that awareness in that step to consciously capture our thinking and look at that, look at where our thinking is, and to see how we're reacting to our thinking. And when we harm other people, to make amends as quickly as possible. And then the other step that I wanted to talk about and bring forward as well is step 12. Step 12 is actually a 3-part step that talks about after working the steps, we've had a spiritual awakening as the result of working these steps. Part is we carry the message to others. And the third part of that is to practice these principles in all of our affairs. And a lot of people are like, well, what are the principles? Well, the principles are the steps. So now we are given an invitation to work these steps in every area of our life, not just on our difficulty with alcoholism or with our addiction to alcoholism. So what I tell everybody that I sponsor and work with is that as soon as you work a step or are taught how to work a step, that the invitation for me is to work this step in every area of their life, not just on alcoholism. So it's coming into awareness, all the steps, not just work through them and discard them and walk away, but to start to practice all these steps in every area of their life. So that's what I wanted to bring forth to that particular conversation. And then I had another little bit for what Dr. Tim had to say as well. I'll allow you to comment on that.
Rock on. Rock on. I was appreciating the fact that as you were talking about dealing with your vision with seeing, not vision, but seeing, which interestingly the world calls that vision, which it isn't at all, but that when you set the intention to deal with that as you breathe, that your language just automatically included some of the things you were able to see about the generation. So that would certainly indicate moving in the right direction. So, cool. Great work.
Awesome. I was expecting to go someplace else during the breath session, but it shot me straight down my father's line and that male lineage, and looking at their conflicts, and then it allowed me to look at the inner conflict of the generations, and having some compassion, developing compassion for everybody's side, and in that particular conflict, and getting having compassion for the persecution and who started the persecution, and it's lifted a great deal for me. So that was cool. Thank you for that observation. What I was going to comment on with Dr. Kim was he was talking about a change in belief, or had asked the question or posed the question, are we willing to look at all of our beliefs? And I was able to resoundingly say in my own mind, oh, hell yeah. And I think that is a part of what Paul was talking about, St. Paul, formerly known as Saul. I like to say got knocked on his ass from his ass. I don't know. I just have a little bit of that makes me chuckle. But he also said that in a lot of his writing is about capturing every thought. And then I believe the Dalai Lama talks about that as well in that book, The Universe in an Atom. He talks about the belief system in Buddhism that where people are taught to, in the Buddhist religion, to constantly test the doctrine and the belief system, and just like an alchemist would test gold. And when things start to stop working for them, they're told to disregard it, to throw it out, even if the Buddha said it himself. He said that I would rather have you follow your own guidance rather than follow my doctrine. And I thought that was very powerful. And we do that in the 12 steps as well. In the second step, it says, come to believe in a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Come to believe, that wording is a change in thought as well, and to start to examine our belief systems that don't work. But throughout the steps, we look at our belief systems and look at them and examine them and throw them out if they're not working. And we do that in step 6 and 7. And there's two steps that have willingness in them. You know, become willing to make amends to them all is in the 8th step. We make a list of everybody we've harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. And then the sixth step, it says we become willing. Anyway, willingness is all over the steps, but it's written in 2. And so I wanted to make those comments, and with that, I am complete.
Yeah, willingness is definitely a biggie, for sure. If you're going to recover and live in the truth of being, the willingness to move through. You know, there's a great line in the Course in Miracles that says, you need not seek for love. You need only seek, find, and release the barriers you built within yourself against it. And so the forgiveness process applies to removing what doesn't belong, and then the only thing that's left is who we are, what does belong. So fabulous. Well, Jeanie, let's talk to our first caller.
Awesome. Okay, it is, I believe, Donna in Atlanta. It's 678 area code. You're on the air.
Hello. You're absolutely correct. It is Donna from Atlanta, or in Atlanta.
Welcome.
Well, thank you. My question is, I know you'll have some different stuff going on the website, and when I log on to the blogradio.com Mindshifter, I get a broken link with a 404 error, and I have I'm challenged to find a good area to, to log in so that I can at least be in the chat box and everything, but I'm unable to do that.
Donna?
Yes.
Are you putting in www.blogtalkradio.com/Mind with an S radio, Mind Shifters Radio?
Yes, I'm clicking directly from your website, thewhyagain.org.
Okay, I will check the
Jeanie,
link
maybe
out.
we just need to check the links. Yeah, we'll check it
Yeah,
out.
I go directly
See if we
from
can get
that
it fixed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Delighted. In the
And
meantime,
I've
is there
enjoyed the
anything else we
dialogue
can support you with?
Well, I've enjoyed the dialogue so far, and when you all speak about what comes up, I've noticed some things. It's been it really is an inside job, and it's all in the application. It's easy to give it lip service when something comes up, and I'm getting to that point where more and more, as I've become aware and noticed, it's shifting into second nature to grab the tools instead of, again. So I like that, and I feel better also. So I'm complete.
I hear that. Well, and it gets really exciting when it becomes first nature.
Oh, I can only
Good
imagine.
Breath. Good breath. That was awesome. Well, any other refinements or questions we can answer while we've got you here?
Well, that's it for now that I can think of. I'm complete for now.
Okay. Fabulous. All right. Well, it's good to hear from you. And we'll hold the space, and whenever a question comes, please call in and let us know.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Blessings. Take care. Bye-bye. That was an awesome example of a healing breath right there. It's just like, oh, yeah, okay, let's take it to the next level. Yay. Hi, Jeanie, you've got another hand up?
I do. And, Donna, that link is broken, so thank you for letting me know about that, and I'll work on it as the next caller is talking. It's area code 910. You're on the air. Who do we have, and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Jill from Wilmington.
Hey, Jill, welcome. How can we support you today?
Thanks. Oh, I am calling because I'm in the middle of a worksheet, and I cannot get from fear to love. I'm having a lot of trouble shifting.
Okay. So what stage are you at in the worksheet?
I am right at, I didn't expect to get upset when I'm talking about it.
So you figured you'd just be able to keep this kind of hidden under the surface rather than actually have it come up in your face?
Totally.
One of the purposes of support is to intensify and move the energy.
Yes. Well, and that's why I called, because it is up in my face, and this is my chance to move it through, and I knew that obviously I'm having a hard time doing it by myself. So I'm at number 4, using love.
Okay. So in the presence of a circumstance, the difficulty at this moment is just bringing forward the active presence of love in yourself. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. The experience of fear is strong right now. And I also, just by looking at the words I've written on my paper so far, I think that I'm getting underneath. I think I'm getting to childhood stuff because the word I use, my feeling is scared, and that's sort of a childish word. And also, one of my punishments to my trigger, I want to act out, kind of like a kid would do. You know, like, give me my attention. Wow, like I want to act like a crazy person. And that's something a child would do. So.
That's awesome. What a great space to be in. So what do you say that instead of efforting at this moment because something big is up in your face, how about letting us as a community hold the space of love for you and move on to step 5? You know, if if one person is holding love in the space, and of course, time and space don't mean anything to that energy. So what if you take your goal from number 3 and take it down to number 5 and cancel your need for it? What's the goal you're working with?
Okay. So that sounds great. My goal is, and thank you. I think the goal is that I want the person to be straightforward in their communication. I think that I'm being deliberately ignored, and it feels like a punishment. And I think I'm wrong. I must be wrong. I don't know what I did wrong, but I must be.
So I'll just invite you to breathe with that for a moment. And, when we came into this world as this pure presence of love, we came into a world of insanity. I mean, the parent who cherishes the child and then when their power person stuff comes up, has vicious words to say, has heavy hands to hit with, it's such an assault to the whole sensory apparatus of the child that it collapses that platform that's natural in the mind to support the presence of love in the body. And so it sounds like, maybe there are a few worksheets to do in this arena, and one of them might be for this person to really give you loving, caring attention. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And that's probably a goal you had for your power person as a kid, and that would put you right back to, and one of the things to do, we actually had a circumstance similar to this that just came up in the class this morning, and one of the pieces of input with the person was to just be gentle with yourself while you touch into the part of you that was so innocent that and then just to be assaulted with the craziness of the world. So hold yourself in compassion and safety, and we'll hold you in compassion and safety. As you let yourself touch into that, and for the person that's current in your life, how about just canceling your need for them to give you loving, caring attention?
Yes, that feels right.
So go ahead and do that. I cancel my need for loving, caring attention from whoever that is. Just go ahead and say that out loud.
I cancel my need for loving, caring attention from JW.
Okay, and breathe. And what does your mind drop into? What do you go to when you say that?
I definitely feel less freaked out.
Okay. So you've already processed some of the energy around it.
Yes, I think it's because I'm not looking for that from somebody else.
So we're breathing with you. Just let yourself breathe into that. And where does your mind go? Can you remember the first time? Was a recollection where you were treated other than with loving, caring concern?
Nothing specific right now.
Okay. So as you breathe into that canceling of that goal, then remember there's a super processor available in you that can help you to undo the effects of your errors and teach you the truth. In Aramaic, it's Ruka de Kudsha. I usually just shorten it to Ruka. Whatever word you use for it, it might be the higher power, whatever it is. How about just asking for support? using whatever term you would use for your relationship with that power.
Oh, I have to say, I feel the love now. I've got it. Oh, it must be.
Awesome.
That must be Ruto coming in.
That's it. You only know her by the effects she creates. You know, when Yeshua was talking about Ruka, he's talking to the temple elder, and he's shocked that the temple elder doesn't know, and the temple elder doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. So he gives him an example of the wind. And you only know the wind by the effects it creates. You can't know an elemental force except by the effects, and that's it. So breathe into that and just be with that and let that flood and spread to every cell in your structure. And I'm personally feeling like goosebumps all over my body, percolating.
I'm sweating.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the release. That's the removal of what doesn't belong. That's the release that happens. Increase in elimination is one of the symptoms of healing. Temperature goes up, the energy starts to move. Some people go into what we call an exothermic reaction, some into an endothermic. And on an atomic level, literally, the atoms in the structure that have held trauma start to let loose. And sometimes it's heat that blows off, and sometimes one goes into a cold state where we could put 20 blankets on them, they won't get warm, and it's just going through that process. So I'll invite you to just keep breathing into that process and keep inviting Ruka to just keep the energy moving. And we'll breathe with you. And notice you've got people from all corners of the globe spraying that energy of love toward you.
I'm so thankful for that. It's helped tremendously.
Sweet. Just exactly what we're here for. So thank you for asking the question. So what's happening for you now? Oh, delighted. Delighted and honored.
I just feel, it's huge relief and joy and gratitude. Like now my tears, I just want to laugh and cry at the same time.
Sweet. Go for it. Breathe. Make sure the breath keeps moving. I always tell people, if there are tears to be shed, if you can laugh and breathe at the same time, great. But if you got to choose one or the other, breathe. And moving the breath through. That's moving Ruka through, is the breath.
Yeah, to be in shaky, I can absolutely feel the energy in every bit of me.
Fabulous. Well, that's what forgiveness does. So then you can fill in number 6, how you're feeling. Laughing, crying, excited, energy's moving. And then if you look at the situation with, was it WR?
JW.
JW. If you think about that situation with JW, look back at number 1 in the worksheet, what's that whole scene look like to you now?
I really just see that it triggered a whole pile of stuff that had really not a lot to do with the current situation. And I actually feel grateful for it.
Yeah, like that line in the Alanis Morissette song, Madness, you angel in disguise.
Yeah.
Thank you for your most generous triggers. If you haven't heard that song, go to YouTube and put in Alanis Morissette Madness. Awesome piece of music that just, here's a lady who's been doing her work, and it's just so insightful and arrives at, here I realize there's this madness in me that I don't want to look at and feel. I don't want to sit with it. And I'm terrified, paralyzed to think about doing it. And I realize that it comes up in the presence of you, but even when you leave the room, it's still there. Thank you for being a generous trigger. And yeah, that's a fabulous shift.
It is. And I want to say, too, that I'm doing a Laws of Women class here in Wilmington with Susan, and I have come to, and Recovery Wednesday is perfect, what Dr. Tim said, recovering the truth of our nature as love. And so I thought I was wrong. I thought I am wrong. Not that I was wrong and I did something wrong, that I am just wrong. And that was blocking me. I couldn't feel this love. And I just moved it. I'm so thankful.
Yeah. And notice that, the tendency is when one hasn't resolved their power person issues, which, probably 1/1,000,000,000th of 1% of the population has perhaps started to approach doing, that in their own judgment of themselves, they use the child as a screen to pass on their pain and trauma. And so use the child as a place of blame, and if the child doesn't know any better, and especially if it's a parent that's doing that, then the child having the same file structure within their minds as the parent does just takes that on. Well, I'm guilty and bad and wrong. And notice that that's all a lie about you. It was a lie about your power person, but they didn't know any better because they had a power person who gave it to them, who had a power person who had a power person. And, if you have children and you obviously hadn't yet resolved this power person issue, then you're your child's power person.
Yes.
And so when individually and collectively we can start to take responsibility for those things and simply move them out of the field, we're opening a space for the whole of humanity. And that is just awesome.
It is. I do have a child, and I don't want to keep this up.
So the times when you've given that message, because under stress, when stress is up, we do what our power person did to us and we hated the most, then we tend to pass that on. What age is your child?
He is 6.
So now would be an awesome time to sit down and share with him your insight into some of the things that you see that you've been giving him as messages, if you've been passing on those messages, and create a space for him to understand forgiveness and for him to see mom as a human rather than a God and have to replicate that in his future. And he's at 6, he's the right age to be learning the worksheet and to just unload all of that. And when together you do that, you'll take your healing process and open the space for his healing to a whole other level. And you might want to look on the site. Julie Haverstick has taken the work and written a book called Healing Children, Loving Children.
I actually have a copy of it. A friend lent it to me, a sweet friend in our group, and I opened it up, and I have begun the reading, and I mentioned the worksheet son, and he's interested, so it's perfect.
Fabulous. Well, she's got a worksheet to start using. She did an intensive here at Heartland one year, and we had a 4-year-old that was learning the worksheet process. And one day we were in the kitchen preparing lunch. We come back out, and there was a woman that was here with her 4-year-old child and her 9-year-old, and the 9-year-old was sitting helping the 4-year-old do a worksheet. So she's got worksheets for 4-year-old, age or language appropriate, 5, 6, 7, right up to teenagers. So there's several different worksheets. Start them out with the simplest one and help them to build vocabulary. And what a gift! What a gift to have a life that at 6 I start to understand these tools rather than having to start to acquire them as an adult. So that's just awesome.
Yeah, if you ever do another program, I'd like to come to it. There, I just put a commitment out there.
Okay, well, we'll put it out to Julie and see if she's ready to do another parent-child workshop. I don't know if she's on. Maybe she's there. If she is, maybe she'd push one and she can come into the conversation. Is Julie there perhaps with her hand up, Jeanie?
I'm not seeing her.
Okay.
Julie, if you're on there,
today.
hit 1.
But anyway, we'll pass on the encouragement for her to set up another parent-child workshop here at Heartland.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Fabulous. So then one of the things that you want to look at is then in 6C is to look at a time in your life when you didn't give yourself that kind of loving attention. Can you remember a time when you did that?
All the time. Yes.
Okay,
Today.
so I'd mark that in there, and you might have a little more compassion for him when maybe he's not capable of that, realizing that perhaps you haven't met that goal yourself. And that could be, that's kind of the purpose of that step 6C, to realize that maybe I haven't been perfect at fulfilling this goal, so maybe I'm a little off base to be demanding that somebody else fulfill it for me.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and that leads to being able to embrace someone in a deeper level of compassion. And compassion is another, the worksheet's really designed to bring in more and more truly human attributes that come from a state of being, and compassion is a very powerful aspect of that. And then the final step is to, around this issue of the goal that you worked with here, to then frame a goal and set a commitment to elevate that goal to activity around this issue toward that person. So you just canceled the goal that you had for that person, and now you want to frame and set a new goal in regard to his activity. So what might that new goal be?
I'm thinking that it has to do with either continuing to do the work to clean up my mind so that I can go back to love, or just meeting him on a level of compassion.
That would probably be more appropriate, because one of them's got to do with you, and it would be good to do that. But that one will relate to you. But step 7 is specifically something that involves him, so that would be to meet him on a level of compassion. Awesome. Nice work, lady. That's fabulous.
Thank you for your help and guidance. That helps a lot.
Absolutely honored and delighted. Jeanie, do you have anything to add?
Actually, I'm working on the broken link, so I apologize.
Okay, no problem. How about Dr. Tim? Do you have anything to add in the way of support there?
Just congratulations. And it's great to hear that you're still doing the work. And now you've got 2 wonderful examples for people in the archives of somebody who's actually willing to go look at something that seems too big, seems too painful. And one worksheet at a time, we get to prove to ourselves that that's just a false belief. So congratulations, and thank you so much for calling and being willing to share.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. Yeah, you worked me through my other ones that I did. And now I just have this huge smile on my face. It's a complete difference from what I was when I called in.
Fabulous. Well, that's what forgiveness is designed for. And Jeanie, let's make a note and let's put this in the archives with the radio shows on worksheets, because although it was only half a worksheet, it certainly shows the shift from one state to another. And just, it always amazes me, and thank you for amazing me one more time at how powerfully just that simple act of forgiveness and that invitation opens a space that changes everything. And, the extreme example of this is the stuff that's going to change war on the planet. And you just open the door a little, you just open the door a little wider for that to happen for 7.5 billion people on the planet. So thank you for your work. It is awesome. It is. I have to breathe with appreciation once again, and the gratitude that surfaces. It's just for me.
That's joy. Thank you.
All right. Well, any other way we can support you? Anything else in mind?
This is it. I think I will radiate this feeling, this gratitude and joy for a good long time. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Delighted. Thank you for calling in. Thanks for being courageous enough to bring that to the audience, and it's a gift for everybody to just see, experience, and just watch it happen. It's just it's so inspirational. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a blessed day.
You too.
It's in the plan. All things moving forward. So.
Okay, we're down to 3 minutes, but we do have another hand up.
Well, let's go for it and see if we've got a question we can get to in 3 minutes.
9:05, you're on the air. Is this Michelle?
Yes, it is. Hello.
Well, hey there. How are you, sweetie?
I am just magnificent.
All right. It's cool to hear you say that with such commitment.
I am. And I'm just feeling Ruka and every breath I take. I don't know if you got your voicemails yet that I left this morning.
No, I've been in class all day.
Okay. I started my day off. I woke up. I was in bed. And I was just lying in bed and breathing in and breathing out. Love, breathing in and going out. And it just felt so wonderful. I didn't want to leave it. It was just amazing. And I've carried that with me today. And I noticed yesterday, since I spoke to you the other days, I've been carrying it and being aware of, points. One point came up yesterday. Oh, here's a worksheet I need to be aware of and I will work on. I'm just so in tune with things, so I feel like I've got like a little notepad. So if there's a thought or something, I jot it down, and I can start working on that worksheet so I don't accumulate it within me. And just holding the presence of love and just enjoying nature when I'm taking Rufus for a walk and just feeling the air, the breeze on my body. I feel like it's just love touching me and passing through me. And the trees, they're talking to me. I can hear them. And even Rufus's little nails on the pathway, I can hear them click ever so gently. And it's just love radiating from every sound. I just can't say how great. And yesterday, some positive news. I went for an eye checkup, and my left eye looked a little bit better. I still have a little bit of scar tissue, and they'd like to do another test to see if I do have, that top left-hand quadrant has improved or staying the same as far as not having vision. But they said overall my vision's improved a little bit, and the scar tissue there seems good. And how can I say it? It's in a good spot from where it should be.
Well, we're down to the last few seconds, Michelle. When I think back to a year ago, the trauma you were in and how much work you've done, it just amazes me. And I have to call the show because the phone's going to cut us off. Just know we hold you in this space and appreciate the work you're doing. Fabulous. Everybody, create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings.